Okay, the composition of the functions. This is the second part of the chapter 6.6, and I think this is kind of the fun part of the chapter 6. When you see the notation that looks like this, you have G and F are both the function names, and you have this little circle in the middle. That means it's a composition of functions. So just to make sure, this is different from G times X. This is just a dot. That means it's G of X function multiplied by F of X function. So this is different. This is a composition. So when you see G dot, G circle F, what you do is you take the second letter, which is F. So we're gonna take F of X inside the G of X function. So you see how this F function became inside the G of X function. So what you do is, when you see this notation, you're gonna change that to this notation, or sometimes they will just give you this form, then you don't have to worry about it. Anyway, you're gonna put the second function inside the first function, and then we're gonna start from the inside. So you start from inside. So now we're gonna evaluate F of X, because F of X is inside. So usually you will have a number here or a variable, so you're gonna get the value of F of X, and then once you get that value, you're gonna then use this F of X as the input for G of X. Another thing to remember is F of G of X is different from G of F of X, because the order makes the difference. So I think just by looking at some example, maybe you will get some better idea of what this means. So this is one example, that F of X equals X minus 5, G of X equals to X squared. What is GF composition G of 2? So when you see that notation, F, I'm gonna write that in blue. When you see that notation, you can change that into the second notation, which is the second part is inside the first part. So I'm just gonna put the first part first. Inside here, I'm just gonna put the second part, which is G of X. G of 2. Because X is 2, I'm just gonna write G of 2. Now we evaluate the inside first, or evaluate the inside. Inside is G of 2. We know G function is X squared. So if I plug in 2 here, G of 2 is 2 squared, which is 4. So we know G of 2 is 4. Now I can change G of 2 into 4. So this function will be F of 4. That's it, F of 4. We just have to find F of 4. Now F function is X minus 5. So now we're gonna plug in 4 into X. So we'll get 4 minus 5, which will be -1. So that will be the answer for this example. Okay, now we're gonna do the second example, which is almost same, but it's a little bit different because it has X instead of a number. Now we're just gonna do the same thing. When you have F composite of X, you can write the first part, and the second part goes inside, so that will be G of X. Well, because that was a X, if that was a number, I would plug in number, but this was a X, so I would just go with G of X. Since I don't have any number, I cannot plug in any number, but we know G of X is X squared, right? They are the same thing. So instead of G of X, I'm just gonna write X squared inside the F function. So F, instead of G of X, I'm just writing X squared. because they are the same thing. Now you look at f function. F function is x minus 5. So I'm gonna plug in this number, this value, x squared, into x. That means instead of x, I'm just gonna write x squared. So x squared will just replace x. So it will be, instead of x minus 5, it will be x squared minus 5.